Last thing here, NXT Deadline predictions for this weekend. Kickoff, they just announced this the other day. Axiom versus Nathan Frazier, a rematch from Tuesday's show, a match that was interrupted by the women's brawl. This should be a really fun match. Nothing on the line here. Kind of reminds me, was it Frazier and Axiom? I'm trying to think. Like, Axiom and somebody had like a series of matches. It might have been Frazier.
I was going to say, I think it was Nathan Frazier.
Was it these two? They had like a best of 4 or 3 or 5 series about a year ago. I think it was these two that I think, now that I think about it. Okay, so they know each other very well, and they had a lot of fun matches at that point. But they're running it back on Saturday. I don't know who wins here. I'm going to say Axiom wins because it seems like they might be turning Nathan Frazier heel, but I'm not 100% positive on that. Who do you think wins?
I'll go with Axiom. I mean, I like both guys. I like Axiom as well. Like I said, maybe they're turning Nathan Frazier heel, lose here, and then we kind of get that heated up. So I think it'll be a great match. I feel like I said they've faced each other multiple times, and like kind of like these like high flying extravaganzas. But I'll go with Axiom here.
Yeah, I think he's actually due for a main roster call-up personally. I know he made that appearance on SmackDown against Dragon Lee a few weeks ago. I don't know if he goes to SmackDown. They already have a lot of masked people as it is. Not that you need a quota on masked wrestlers, obviously, but they already have Cameron Grimes on that show, and they're not doing anything with him. So I would probably put him on Raw, which is why I would have Nathan Frazier go over, but maybe this is their way of building up a feud between the two. I'm not sure, but I'll go with Axiom as well. Steel cage match, Kiana James making her singles debut on a NXT PLE against Roxanne Perez. They've done a really good job of keeping Roxanne busy. I mean, her consistent character direction has been great because they've kept her busy in feuds outside of the title picture. For example, she worked with Blair Davenport for a while. They had a match at the Great American Bash Show. She wasn't on the No Mercy show, I believe, but she is back here, and she was involved in the ladder match where she lost the championship back in April over Mania weekend. But yeah, she's facing Kiana James here. She did beat James in that Halloween-themed match at Halloween Havoc a few weeks ago, about a month or so ago. So I think James could win, but James is fine. She's improved. I think Roxanne Perez is just a bigger star. If you want to put over Kiana, then cool, but I just think Roxanne should probably win this. But what are your 2 cents?
No, I like Roxanne a lot. I think, like you said, it just really depends on what they do with her. I feel like she should be in the Rumble and maybe call up soon after that. Mm-hmm. Maybe right after WrestleMania. So, like I said, she already beat her, so it's like I feel like there's a chance that James could beat her, like get her win back here, and we get like a blow-off third match. I'll go with James. I feel like Perez should win, but I wouldn't hate to keep it going. Like I said, they're not really have any like set plan for her right now. She's kind of like these mini feuds, so yeah. I'll go with James.
At some point, I want to see Roxanne and Lyra Valkyria. I think that'd be the match to do. I don't know if we've seen that yet before. I don't know if they turn Roxanne or attempt to do so because she's just a natural babyface. But you know, AJ Lee had a bit of a heel run in her back in the day, and she kind of reminds me of a modern day AJ Lee. So it's possible. I don't know how well she would fare in the role, but at some point before she gets called up, which should be soon, I didn't think she was ready earlier this year, but after Mania next year, she should definitely be ready, in my opinion. Roxanne Perez, that is. We get to the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge match, with the winner earning a future NXT Women's Championship opportunity. Tiffany Stratton, Kalani Jordan, Blair Davenport, Lash Legend, and Fallon Henley. Some fresh blood in here, some new blood, fresh faces. Fallon Henley advancing on Tuesday's NXT. I got to be honest with you, I don't really think there's a clear-cut winner here. Tiffany Stratton feels like the favorite, but I feel like they might go with someone else, which is why I'm going to throw it to you first. Who do you think goes over here?
This kid. All right, I knew this was going to happen. I looked at all the matches. The one that looked like it was going to be the toughest one. I'm going to go with, and I knew you would do this. Yep. Classic GSM fashion here. I'm going to go with Davenport. Like you said, I feel like Stratton's such the favorite that she's not going to win. They like Davenport a lot. She's a heel. Makes sense against Lyra. I mean, no to Lash Legend. Fallon Henley's good, but not great. I feel like Davenport makes the most sense. I like Kalani Jordan a lot, but she's also a babyface. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it happening right now for her, so I'm going to go with Davenport. I
think it's got to be Davenport. Stratton, I would not be opposed to, just because we haven't seen her and Lyra since that Battleground show that we were at, actually, which is where Tiffany became champion. So they can run that back, have Lyra avenge the loss to Tiffany, and at some point they could still do that, maybe at their February PLE or something, before Mania, and then have her get called up right before Mania or after Mania. I could certainly see Tiffany in the Rumble regardless. But yeah, I'm going to go with Blair Davenport as well. I think we haven't seen her in Lyra yet, and if we did, it was a while ago. I don't think Blair takes the title, but they should probably keep the belt on Lyra for a while at this point. She just won it, so I think Davenport's going to win as well. Men's Iron Survivor Challenge matchup, same thing. There's some favorites in here, but I mean, there's a couple people I could see certainly winning. So we got Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, Dijak, Josh Briggs, and Tyler Bate. Josh Briggs is kind of the Lash Legend of the matchup. Lash Legend, I'll give her credit. I'm not a big fan of hers, but I think she's fine, but she's just not great in the ring. She picked up Otis like it was nothing on Tuesday, and that was really impressive, so I got to give her that. Josh Briggs, I think, has more potential. He had a really good match with Carmelo Hayes about a week or two ago. I was kind of surprised. I'm like, wow, I knew he had it in him because I've seen him on the indie scene before, but I kind of forgot how good Josh Briggs actually is when he's not doing the countryman bullshit stuff. I don't think he wins. Dijak was my guy at one point as far as winning, because him and Ilja had that great match, that last man standing match that we were there for back at Battleground. I don't know if I see that. Tyler Bate is great. I don't see that either. To me, it's got to come down to Braun or Trick. But I'll give my prediction after you give yours. Who do you think goes over?
I'm going with Trick. I mean, that's who I think. I don't know. I like Trick. I think it makes sense with the story telling with him and Carmelo. He gets a title shot. I think I like Braun Breaker, but just call him up at this point. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, seriously, they got to call him up. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Trick.
I'm going to go Trick as well, just because he has the built-in connection with Ilja. Ilja's already beaten most, if not all, of these guys. I don't think he's ever faced Josh Briggs, but he's beaten Dijak. He beat Trick a couple months ago when they had their match on TV, which was a great match, actually. That was kind of Trick's breakout performance. And he beat Braun on TV a couple months ago as well. So they've done all those matches, but like I said, the story there is with Trick. That's how Trick kind of became popular in the first place, was by facing Ilja and looking great in defeat. So running that back for the championship, and maybe that's where we get the Carmelo turn finally, where Carmelo cost him the championship, and then we get his big heel turn going into Mania season, and they could do the match at Stand and Deliver or something like that. Speaking of whom, Carmelo Hayes is on the show. They just announced this match soon after. Carmelo Hayes against Lexis King, making his NXT PLE debut. This one could go either way. I feel like it's a slam dunk that Lexis King would win because it's his first NXT PLE. I feel like it would be dumb for him to lose here. I could see them having Carmelo win because he has lost a bit lately, and they might not want him to lose again. I'm going to go Lexis King, though, because I think having Carmelo continuing to lose and build up frustration is the way to go. And if you want people to take Lexis King seriously, he should probably win here.
I'm literally, like, if I could just say what you just said, and
Copy
repeat,
and
I'd
paste.
do it. Like you said, I just feel like if you want his momentum to keep going, he has to win. Like you said, also with Melo, just another loss kind of keeps building up his eventual turn. But I would have Lexis King win here.
I agree. We get to the NXT North American Championship match. It was supposed to be Dirty Dominic Mysterio defending against Wesley before it came out on Tuesday from Wesley himself. He's hurt. He has to undergo back surgery. I don't know how he suffered the injury. He had that fantastic four-way last week on the show. Maybe it was during that match or he had an injury. I'm not sure. But he's going to be gone for a long time. I think Meltzer said, or PW Insider said, maybe from 8 to 12 months possibly, which is a long fucking time. That's such a big blow for him and the NXT roster and whatever. Replacing him, and I love this idea, is Dragon Lee. Now, it is strange because you have a Raw superstar and a SmackDown superstar fighting for an NXT Championship. So that is a little strange. But I love the idea of the match because we talked about it a while ago. I was always surprised they never gave the belt to Dragon Lee. They had Dominic Cheat to beat him months ago at Heatwave, I think, on TV, and they ran the match back on Raw, and Dominic won that as well. I always thought Dragon Lee would be the guy ultimately to beat Dominic, and I think that's going to happen. I don't know if you do 3 matches between them and Dominic wins all 3. I think we're getting a new NXT North American champion. I know he's a SmackDown guy. It might be short-lived, but I think Dragon Lee's taking the championship here with Rey Mysterio in his corner.
Yeah, I agree. Is Ray going to be on fucking crutches with an amputated leg?
Yeah, that is weird now that you mentioned that. I didn't even really think about that. That's so strange.
So, but no, I think, like I said, I don't think you have him face him 3 times just to lose to him again. So, I think Dragon Lee's going to win here. I still keep him on SmackDown. I think maybe just like a little thing to prop him up a little bit, because he has lost a decent amount lately. But having like the NXT North American Championship can definitely prop him up a little bit.
Do you think there's a possibility that Dragon Lee is about to win the championship after already beating Santos to advance on Friday in the U.S. Championship Tournament? Because that's happening on SmackDown. Do you think Dragon Lee could avenge the loss to Santos there from Survivor Series? And then at the NXT Deadline show, Santos shows up to beat the shit out of Ray, distracting Dragon Lee, and Dominic retains again. I think that could happen.
It is possible.
I'm still going with Dragon Lee.
I thought Santos was going to win, so I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
But if you have Dragon Lee win, then yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, if Dragon Lee wins, I'm kind of thinking he might. I'm thinking Dragon Lee will pull out an upset. I don't know if they have him lose twice. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with my idea. I think Dragon. Then I would have. I don't know, man.
No, then Dominic wins then with your idea.
Dominic does win. Then what happens then? Poop. I'm gonna go Dominic retains. Actually, I thought Dragon Lee would win. I thought Dragon Lee would win, and I want him to win. But now that I say that, I feel like that makes more sense. Because then again, if Dragon Lee wins the title, then he's on SmackDown. I don't really know.
Yeah, but Dominic's on Raw, so what's the difference?
But then Dragon Lee's got to go work NXT now for a little while. At least Dominic has already been working NXT. He should probably lose it to an NXT guy, is my point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I guess I'll just go with Dominic too, whatever.
Hey, but listen, when Dragon Lee wins, I'm not going to complain because I kind of want to see that happen. So I'm looking forward to the match, though, because their last match was great. Main event, Ilja Dragaunov, Baron Corbin, NXT Championship. I feel like it's a slam dunk. Ilja wins, but I got to give him credit. I love the feud. Baron Corbin's been great on NXT. I've always really enjoyed Corbin, but, up and down with their booking of him and the characters, which has been god-awful over the years. And we even talked about him earlier this year. He just kind of felt like he just existed on the show after JBL dumped him. He was just on the show wearing basketball shorts. It was probably the lowest point of his career. But he's really turned himself around. He looks great. He's got the great entrance. He's been having really fun matches. And I feel like these two are going to go in there and have a great fucking match. But either way, though, I think Ilja walks out still NXT champion.
No, I've really liked what they've done with Corbin. I feel like being off WWE definitely has helped him. Makes it kind of like re-get his own focus. Like you said, the last time we saw him on Raw with like the JBL shit was terrible. But like I said, at the end of the day, like what they're doing with him, but Ilja's going to win here. I don't think Corbin should win. I think it'll be a good match. But Corbin loses here. We got Ilja retain, and like I said, I like what they're doing with Corbin overall, though.
It'll be interesting to see if Corbin sticks around because he's already challenged for the championship once and lost to Carmelo Hayes. So I'm curious if they keep him around after this is over, after losing twice, or if he just goes back to Raw or SmackDown. And if he does, it'll be interesting because I want to see this Corbin on the main roster and not that shit that he was doing previously. So that's not guaranteed that they would, have him go back to doing what he was doing or, have him continue what he's doing right now. But I would like to see it because I think it's a waste of Corbin to have him go back to being just jobber fodder on the main roster. At that point, just stay in NXT. It's kind of like, you can make that case for Apollo Crews. Like, he kind of meant something in NXT, then he goes back to Raw, and he's barely on the show, and then he's just on main event. Like, that's a waste. But to me, I think Baron Corbin, although Apollo's a better worker and a better wrestler, I think Corbin is a better overall performer because he can talk and he kind of has the presence about him. Apollo's kind of been generic. And I like Apollo a lot, but him just doing jobs for other people on Raw doesn't really surprise me. I think Baron Corbin has a higher ceiling than that. He's not winning a world championship at this point, but I could see him as a pretty solid mid-carder on Raw or SmackDown with this character and with the right booking. And that's key, because I don't know if that's actually going to happen on the main roster.